Hi, it's Rick. I've really pushed it this year. We're into the second week of December, and I still haven't gotten the snow thrower on and done my winter maintenance as I wanted to. So anyway, I'm going to get to it today. It's probably going to be the last 2 days of decent weather, at least temperature-wise. Right now it's kind of drizzly and rainy out, but it should be pushing 55, and tomorrow they say it's going to even be 60. So this is the time to do it. I don't think I'll be given any more reprieves in the weather than these next 2 days, so I'm going to get it done. Anyway, you heard me start it up earlier. That was to get her warm. She's been running for about 20-25 minutes. Put my hand on the crankcase, and you know it's warm enough to go. So what we're gonna do today, or do the first thing here, is we're gonna do an oil change, and we'll also do just another maintenance, including the oil change, of course, is replacing the oil filter, and we'll walk through that step by step. And as we proceed, when it's getting this done, then I'm going to be looking at, and I'll do a separate video, as many of you have asked for, is to show how I attach the snow thrower and some of the intricacies involved with that the John Deere manuals aren't so good about. All right, so I'm going to climb underneath this thing and open up the crankcase bolt and let her drain for a while, and get the oil filter ready. And this should be a fairly easy and very routine procedure. Climb under here and get this thing done. Oh. First time's always a bitch. There we go. Okay, we'll just let her drain. I'll clean up a little bit. Okay, as I'm letting the oil drain, just show you the tools that's needed. Start with a 17 millimeter. I don't know if you can see that. It's a 17 millimeter socket. That's the size. Unfortunately, John Deere's are metric in a lot of their bolts. It's funny, some are metric, some are English. But anyway, 17 millimeter bolt. I'm using a 3/4 drive. I also got, this is also something I really like. I got a custom fit or special fit oil filter wrench and puller. I like these a lot better than the strap-on ones. They tend to slip, or if it maybe needs a little convincing, they can be a little tight. And this obviously gives it a better grip. Oil filter, of course. Part number. This is standard. This is for the same engine. 1025, 2025s. That's what it is. And this is the oil that's recommended. This is again a John Deere oil. Again, the thing to watch out for and make sure you get the right stuff is for diesel engines, not gasoline. There's two different oils. So this is the oil for the diesel. And one of the other things I'm going to do is I'll just relieve the oil fill cap here. Make sure everything drains out nicely and we get as much an oil change as possible. Although, as you know, there's always residual left in the crankcase and oil pan. I leave it on. I don't want any dirt to get in there inadvertently either. Okay, I've cleaned up the drain hole plug. One of the other things I like to do, just to make sure that it's done, is there's a little rubber gasket here, and you just make sure you check it, make sure there's no cracks, and it's still good. I don't expect any. It's only the tractor's got. It's new. Well, it's since February, but it's also got 65 hours on it, so I expect it to be good. But no, she looks fine. Here. Get this thing done. Yeah, she's all but stopped draining now, so we're good. Drop the drain plug in the pan of oil. I hate when that happens. We'll just snug it up. You don't want to over tighten it. It doesn't do any good. That's good. Okay, we're done down here. Next, of course, let's get the oil filter off. Before I do that, let me move the oil pan under here. So. Good, put it in the right spot for the first time. Okay, what I'm going to do now is, with the oil filter, is go ahead and get it ready to put on there. And of course, what you always do is you want to put a little bit of oil around this thing before you put it on. And what I simply do is I made it to the other oil filter like this. Just give it a spin. And, you know, you got a good covering. And you might want to remember to drain the oil filter before you put it on your workbench and you wouldn't spill it. So now I'll go ahead, before I put the new filter on, do this going over here, clean it up. I'll get the oil underneath, and it ran down the pan a little bit here too. New filter, of course, oiled the and I just hand tighten this. I don't, you know, like you're supposed to. You don't go crazy on it. There we go. That's good tighten. Of course, we'll check it for leaks when we start it up. And from the changing the oil filter, you see I got some drips and drops here that I got to clean up. So I'll just wipe it down. And alongside the pan up in here. Okay, I'll go ahead and remove the pan of oil. I have one of those recyclable containers I put it in, and take this oil to a local recycle center that a lot of the automotive shops use as well too. So it's convenient. You want to be careful, obviously, you don't spill it. And let's go ahead and start filling this thing up. The other thing too, before you start the engine, even though you've added the oil, let it sit a little bit, because there's still some oil that always gets hung up in the head and isn't down in the crankcase. And just maybe a personal preference. I just don't like to have, or eliminate to the greatest ability that there is not an excess amount of oil up in the head that could cause, you know, anything to happen, like pressurizing or just, you know, just flailing around where it shouldn't be, and let it drain back down into the pan. And yes, it's a little cold, and this stuff is a little thick, so it's not flowing so well. But we'll let it get down in there. I may be halfway through this. I'm going to give an initial check here in a minute just to see where I am. And of course, as you know, if you overfill it a little now, it's okay, because the oil filter is empty. So again, the reason you start it is to get the oil filter full, recheck, and you always tend to have to add a little bit more. Let me give it a check here. Okay, let's give it an initial check. I waited a couple of minutes too to let like I said before, let the oil drain down. Hey, it's actually showing pretty close to full. But again, the oil filter is not full, so. And let's take a look. Yeah, we're just about there, if you can see it. We're just about there, so just a little more. And then we'll start it, and then check again. Okay, let's top this off a little bit more. And what I'll then do is I'll put the fill cover back on, and we'll start it. I'll check for leaks, and let it run for a couple of minutes, and then we'll shut her down, recheck, check again for leaks, and top it off as necessary. I think that'll probably do it for now. So put this over here. Get this cap back on. There we go. Okay, let's give her a start. Shut it down. Don't want to close it. Let's go ahead and give it a start. Okay, good. Oil pressure light went off. Okay, she looks good, no leaks. Oil filter looks good. Let's go back and now we'll check the oil again and see if we've got to add anything. Let's give it a check and see. Wow, I'm surprised. It's like not even a 1/16 of an inch below the full mark, so I'm good to go with it. I'll check it again over the next couple days as I run it, just to make sure she's fine. Again, stick my hand underneath here. No leaking from the oil filter, so that's good. I checked the pan bolt before, that's good. So it looks like we got this job pretty much wrapped up. Okay, that was pretty easy. There's nothing really magical to it. I'm sure a lot of you guys have done a lot of oil changes on other vehicles. This one is no different. That basically it's done. Like I said, over the next day or two, I'll keep checking the fluids just to make sure that it is full. Like I said, I was a little surprised how close it was, or how little it dropped from when I added it to running it and having the oil filter fill. So that's good. That's actually the first oil change I've done on it. One of the things I wanted to comment on too is that my 1025R, that was 2017. That manual had us doing oil changes in the first 50 hours as well as doing a hydraulic oil change in the first 50 hours. For some reason, same engine, Yanmar engine, and I gotta believe, well, this one's got a slightly larger hydraulic pump on it. That's what gives it its little extra capacity and lift. It was, 50 hours on that, 50 hours on oil change, and now it's moved to something like not 1,000 hours, but certainly like 500 hours or something. And I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. So, you'll never hurt an engine by changing the oil too much. In fact, it's actually good for it. But don't overdo it. But I certainly wouldn't. The lengths of time that John Deere has in the manual seem to me a little long. Anyway, I won't bore you with what's left to do. I just got to clean up my tools, put them back, wipe them down. They get a little oily, so I want to make sure they're clean. Put everything away. Get the oil I took out into one of the recycle cans that I have, and I'm going to run that over to the recycle place that I can dump it off at. And that's pretty much it. Again, guys, any questions, anything you'd like to know, or you see things that I'm doing that you question or I should have done, love to hear your comments. I've been getting a lot of them. It's very good. And we'll have another video out here shortly.